Hello, and how are you today? I have a very quick one for you today. I thought I'd just kind of slip it in among some of the summer stars that we have going on this summer. And it's something that struck me as funny and very profound in the moment. So thank you for being here, and let's dive in. When I was finishing up my new book, I had this realization, and the realization was that I often say to my clients something along the lines of, you know, you have time. You have time. You set a goal and you keep moving toward it, and you get setbacks, but you keep moving forward, and basically success is inevitable, right? You're going to get this. And I get a lot of pushback. People will be like, I don't have time. I'm in a hurry. I just like, I've waited too long in my life. It's time for me to get this done. Chop, chop, chop. Got to get moving. Got to get moving. Got to get finished, right? I've got to get finished. And that's the big thing here is that so often when we are doing anything, for me, it was the book in this particular moment. All I wanted to do was get that darn book done. seemed like seemed like I'd been doing it for my entire lifetime. And the more I thought about it and the more I worried about it not getting done or me not putting in the time, what I realized was that I wasn't putting in the time because I was spending all my time worrying, right? I was thinking about it instead of acting on it. And when I would stop ruminating on this thing and I would just sit down and just start writing, like as if it didn't matter, right? As if it didn't matter. I would just start writing. What I'd find is that an hour would go by, 2 hours would go by, and good stuff came from it. Good things happened. Eventually, I reached my goal of finishing the book. But I have a story for you at the end because I realized that I'm never going to finish that. So we'll come back to that in a second. But the thought is that we think about like, oh my gosh, I've got to get this done. I've got to lose the weight, whatever it is that I said I was going to do. I've got to, lose the inches. I've got to gain the muscle, like all the things that we have in our heads that we've got to get done now. And the reality is that confidence comes from doing. It doesn't come from thinking about doing. You don't get confident and then you do it. And it's one of those things. I mean, I know this, like intuitively, I know this. On a business level, I know this. On a fitness level, I know this. And yet, all of us reach those points in certain things that we do that seem different than everything else. Like an example, this morning when I went to work out, I decided to do some different work, some different body weight workouts than I normally do. And because I'm comfortable with that, I just went in, I tried things, I adjusted them, I did some different things, I increased my reps, I lowered my reps. It wasn't a thing. It's because I'm comfortable doing that. It's something that I've been doing for a while, probably a long while if you count up how old I am. So it's something that I'm used to doing and I'm confident at it. But I wasn't at one time. Like I wasn't. And confidence comes from doing. And it was the same thing with the book. Like I realized that the more I wrote, the better I got. And the better I got, the more I wrote. And I realized that when we're impatient about reaching a goal, like when we're impatient about getting something that we want, whatever it is, we're reaching for that goal. There's a part of you, actually, the reason you get impatient, there's a part of you that thinks it's never going to happen. That's what makes us impatient. It's that feeling like it's never going to happen if I don't just like really like push through and dive in and do all the things. And if I'm not doing all the things, then I'm probably not going to accomplish what I want. And once you realize that your success is inevitable, okay? It is. If you embark on a road like a fitness plan, you embark on, you get the book And I'll tell you about that later. You get the book and you embark on the fitness plan in the book. You're going to get what you want. You are. I mean, success is inevitable because when we take those actions one after another, it always works. It may not be exactly what we thought, right? It may not be the same as what we were looking for, but we always reach we always reach what we want. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. We always get what we desire when we take those steps. So when you are infinitely patient, things happen. They do. Infinite patience gives you time to notice that habits are starting to shift, right? Infinite patience gives you the confidence from doing. Infinite patience makes you stop and quit pushing when you shouldn't be pushing. For instance, would be, let's say something's hurting. Something's like, I think I told the story a while back. My elbow was kind of twitching, right? I'm smart enough. I've been doing this long enough to know to stop doing the exercise I was doing. But no, I did not have infinite patience. I had, oh my gosh, I got to get this done because I really need to, work on these triceps. Well, it didn't work so well for me because instead of working on those triceps, what I did was I worked on some tendonitis. So thinking about when we stop and when we become patient, we also learn to trust ourselves. And trusting ourselves is probably the biggest piece in personal accountability. When we talk about, like, in the group, we do a lot of accountability. I talk a lot about accountability and all the different types of accountability, right? Like, how do you hold yourself accountable? Who can help you be accountable? All of those good things. Bottom line, we want personal accountability. And when we learn the confidence and we're comfortable with it, then we just naturally create the accountability with ourselves. So just think about what's going on right now. If you're in a rush to accomplish anything, really, anything, let's talk about fitness, but anything in life, if you're in a rush to accomplish it, think about what's that saying in the moment. Is it saying that maybe your impatience is showing that you don't trust that you're going to get what you want? And if that's true, just remember, like, your success is inevitable. It will happen. And it will happen. Sometimes things happen, and we all know this, in the best times or the best timing. So think about that. If you're finding that you just don't believe that you've got the time and you've just got to get this thing done, stop, relax, give yourself a little time to plan. Okay. When we plan, and this, I'm going off on a tangent here for a second, but I just want to think about this for a second. When we make a plan, like, we give that piece of our brain that really needs a plan, we give it patience. We give it like a meditative relaxation moment. And that's one of the reasons that I'm so big on scheduling. And scheduling is for two reasons. Well, scheduling is for a lot of reasons, but two reasons that I want to talk about right now. One of them is that when you schedule, you make it real, right? You know what needs to come up. You know what you need to be doing. You're not like just kind of pulling things out of the air. But the other thing is that when you make a schedule or a plan, you're also giving your brain a little bit of a rush, because it gets what it needs, it knows what it's going to do, and it no longer worries, right? This is the plan. This is what we're going to do. So think about that. Like, if you're feeling impatient about getting something, you're feeling impatient about a goal, you're just feeling like you're so far back, you're so far behind, and it's never going to happen. Just stop, rest for a second, give yourself a moment. Think about the fact that if success was inevitable, like, if your success was inevitable, what would you do? What would you say? How would you feel? And then what steps would you take? Confidence comes from doing, not really from planning. Don't tell your brain that, because your brain loves a good plan. But confidence comes from action. So go back and just look at it. If you're feeling like you're out of time and you need to rush, you need to be impatient, forget it. Stop, relax, and start over. Okay, let me just tell you one quick story and then we're going to wrap up today because I know everybody is busy this summer, right? So the funny thing happened after I finished the book. I was like, thank goodness. Like I'd done through 3 rewrites and I was just like, I hit send to my editor and I was just like, done, finished, complete. And I didn't think about it. Didn't think about anything. I was like, done. I have finished writing. And about 2 days later, one of the people that I work with sends me a note. And she's like, so the Freedom Journal that goes with the book, I've got some questions about it because I'm not really sure how you want this to come together. And I'm like, oh, yeah, right. It's all in my head. So I said, you know what? Let me just throw some things together. I'll sit down. I'll write a couple things out for you, and then we can start working on it. And in the Freedom Journal is really cool. I have to tell you, at least in my head, it was really cool at the time. So I sat down and I started writing, and I got this feeling, and the feeling was like, oh boy, I get to write. And I just stopped and I laughed because I thought, you know what? Here I was trying so hard to finish up so I could quit doing this thing. And I had gotten so used to doing it and so good at it that it is now second nature. And so I just was enjoying the writing again. And this is what happens, right? This is what happens to us once we get into that groove of being and living the way that we want to be. So remember, if you're feeling impatient, that you're not reaching your goal fast enough, just stop. All that's showing you is that there's a part of you that doesn't think you're going to get it. Just tell yourself that your success is inevitable and you are on the way to everything you've ever dreamed of. Thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.